Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Open University.
Hello everyone, I welcome you all in Chaitanya Studio, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University, in a lecture series of BBAR 302 Human Resource Management, Block-01, Unit-03, that deals with job design and job analysis. Learning objective of this particular unit. So in this unit, we will study about the meaning, objective, process, outcome of job description and job specification, and the number of components that affect the job analysis and job design of the organization. So job analysis helps the management to understand how the job is to be performed. Job analysis deals with realities, perceptions, standards, and future strategy of the organization. And then based on job analysis, we can ultimately design the job in the company. So job analysis is the process of collecting, analyzing, and setting out information about the content of job in order to provide the basis for job description and job specification in the organization. So according to Michael Armstrong, job analysis is a kind of process where the manager of the company collect the data and then make the job description and job specification accordingly. Next is related to objectives of job analysis. So there are 3 objectives of job analysis. So when the manager of the company analyzes the job of the company, they always find out the better way where the work could be done in a simplistic manner. Next is related to standardization. Job analysis helps the organization to make a strong code of conduct, to make the rules and regulations to be implemented by the employee of the company. Next is related to support of other activities. Job analysis also deals where you will have to see the number of functions, the number of work that could ultimately impact the any work in the company. Next is related to uses of job analysis. So there are number of uses of job analysis data. First is related to job evaluation. So once the organization evaluate the current job, the relative worth of the job in the company, according to that worth in the organization, the company could decide and predetermine the pay scale of the current job in the organization. Next is related to job design. Now once the proper job analysis is done and they already know about the kind of work to be done in the company, they can then properly distribute and they can then properly divide the activities in the organization. Next is related to job classification, where a similar kind of work could be grouped together, and the work that required a different kind of skills and a specific kind of qualities to be performed, that could also be evaluated, and accordingly the training and development could be planned. Now job description is always made after job analysis in the organization, where job descriptions deals with the roles and responsibilities in the company, and job specification deals with the kind of qualities that is required to perform the given job. Next is related to human resource planning. So once the employer of the company have decoded about the kind of job to be done in the company, then they can properly evaluate and ultimately plan the human resource to be used in an optimistic manner. Next is related to recruitment and selection. Now after properly analyzing the current situation of the company, they'll come up with the data and they'll have a proper record of the current scenario in the company, based on which they can then recruit and select the kind of required people in the company. Next is related to training and development. So once they have analyzed the current situation of the company, they will have a data where they can know about the exact skills that is required to perform the given task, and then they can plan for the training and developmental program or sessions if required. Next is related to performance evaluation. Job analysis helps in ultimately distribution of the work, and with that it also helps to develop the standards for the fulfillment of the objective, so that the current work that is distributed by the manager of the company could be compared with the set standard, and if there is any deviation, the effective monitoring and direction could be taken place. Next is related to wage and salary administration. So job analysis will helps the organization to determine the appropriate kind of compensation package for the post in the company, for the suitable position in the company, that will encourage the employees to get engaged to the company, and that will also helps the organization to retain the employees in the organization, and also invite the new talented people in the company. Next is related to safety and health. So if the manager evaluate properly, they will also come up with the kind of requirement that is necessary to avoid the hazard in the company. So after job analysis, the manager will have a data that will help them to take the effective actions to control the hazards, and to also take the corrective measures for identifying the requirement or related to health and safety in the organization. Next is related to process of job analysis. So first of all, in the organization, the basic purpose of job analysis is done. So first of all, they will make the purpose about why the company is going through job analysis. Do they want people in the company? Do the company is going for work redistribution? Is company adding the new product in the company, and because of that the company wanted to analyze the current workflow force of the company, or what are the other factors due to which the company want to do the job analysis? Next, gathering background information. So after having a clear objective or the purpose for job analysis in the company, then they will gather the information from all the sources that is available to them. Then they will choose a representative job for analysis. Then they will collect the relevant job information about the redistribution of work in the company, and ultimately then they will review the information which is collected. So after determining the purpose, after gathering the basic information, then after choosing the number of jobs that is most required to analyze, properly in the company, then they will again collect the information that is related to that specific jobs only, and then they will review the kind of data that they have collected, and they will evaluate the positive and negative factors related to the information in the company, and then they on the basis of this job analysis data, they will frame the job description and job specification in the company. So that was about the process of job analysis. So after job analysis, the next topic is related to techniques of data collection. So as we saw that the manager will have to gather the information. So there are number of techniques that the manager could use for effectively collecting the data. First is related to questionnaire method, where simply they will the employee will have to fill up the questionnaires that is being given to them. So here the company could get the kind of information that they require. Next is related to job performance method. Here in this method, the job which is analyzed is performed by analyst himself to understand how it is executed. So here the job that they wanted to analyze, the work that they wanted to analyze in the organization, they itself will try to execute it, and then based on their personal experience, they will write down about the positive factors of the job as well as the kind of deficiencies that is related to their current job. Next is related to observation method. Here the manager will continuously observe the current working in the company, and based on that they will make a detailed observation, a detailed analysis of the current working behavior of the employees. Then they will make a data and they will record all these observations, and based on this observation then they can change or they can make the plan as per their requirement. The next is related to critical incident method, where in this method the respondent will have to give all the positive and negative feedback about their current working situations. Next is related to interview method, where the expertised, where the specialized person of the organization will one to one connect with the employees, and they will with the help of interview collect the data related to current work in the organization, or maybe related to the work that they wanted to do in near future. Next is related to diary maintenance method. Here the employee will on the regular basis note down everything that is related to their job in the organization, and at the end of predefined period, the manager of the company will collect all these diaries, and based on their personal maintenance record, the manager will then evaluate the kind of the kind of requirement in changing process of the organization. Next is related to technical conference method. Here a brainstorming session among the supervisor of organization is collected, and then the supervisor, as per their discussion, as per their conversation, the number of information is collected by the selected number of people who would be present in there during the brainstorming session. So these are the kind of methods that will help the organization to collect the data for job analysis in the company. Then based on this job analysis, job description could be made. So in job description, there is an detail about the title of the job, which deals with the code number of the job, the department of the job, the division or plant location. Next is job summary. So this will help the employee to clearly know about the freedom of the employees at the workplace, the kind of information, the kind of particular roles and responsibility that is related to the job. Then next is related to job relationship. Here a proper description is given about the relationship in the with the superior in the organization. Job relationship, here it will help the employees to properly decode about the position where they have to work in the organization and the relationship with their immediate supervisor. Next is related to job duties and responsibilities. So job description is a kind of data from where the employee could properly evaluate the kind of duties and responsibilities that will be allocated to them in the workplace. Next is related to the standard and working condition in the organization. So any and everything that is related to the work, about their predefined standard and about the working condition, it would be clearly described in the job description of the organization. Then job specification and training, work experience, skills and competency, physical strength, stress coping ability and special requirement of the employees is specified. And if you come under if you qualified all that specification, then only you could be allocated the kind of work that the employer wanted to give to you. But if you don't have a kind of specification that is being mentioned in job specification, then there is an chance that you would not selected for doing or implementing the kind of work in the company. Next is related to challenges affecting the effectiveness of job analysis. So there are a number of factors that could negatively impact the process of job analysis in the organization. First is related to employees' anxieties. If employees have a kind of fear that if they will reveal all the information, then management will give them addition roles and responsibilities, and maybe the employer will change their workplace, maybe the employee will go for a job transfer of an employee and etc., and due to which the employee will deliberately hide some of the information due to this fear with the management of the company. So that becomes a limitation for the organization. Next is related to manager's attitude towards job analysis. If manager of the organization took job analysis very in a very liberal form, or do not consider it very important for the organization, then this will create a kind of limitation for the company. Next is undue importance to job holders. If proper evaluation is not done, if proper analysis is not done for a particular job in the organization, then this will lack a kind of information that is required to be given to the selected employee of the company, which will ultimately become the limitation after a certain period of time, because there was a lack of information in a proper description of the organization. Next is related to environmental influence. So there are number of factors that could impact the job analysis, which could be related to internal factors or as well as external factors of the organization. Internal factors, again, it could be controlled at certain point of time, but external factor is uncontrollable, and that is why if there is any pandemic in the country, if there is a cutthroat competition, and if there is shortage of supply of employment of employees, then it can create a kind of limitation for the organization. Next is no follow-up action. If you are doing the activity just for doing it, just for sake of doing it, and then you are not providing a proper feedback to the employer or the employer, then it will create a limitation, because ultimately after doing job analysis, you will also have to give the feedback to the employees about the kind of skills they need to enhance in the workplace, and likewise. So these are some kind of challenges that could negatively impact the current flow of work in the organization. So based on job analysis, the company could make the job description, job specification, based on which the job design could be framed. So job design is a 3-step procedure where individuals are specified about the roles, responsibilities, duties in the organization, and the way they have to perform the work in the company, as well as the kind of work that could be allocated to the employee in the company. There are number of benefits also of job design. If the manager has properly designed the job in the organization, it will help them in a number of ways. First one, it will help the employees to develop their effectiveness, which will help them to control certain challenges that is being faced by the employee itself. Second, it also gives them the benefit to embrace themselves, to improvise themselves. Ultimately, the goods and services of the organization could be properly maintained. Third is related to, it will help the organization by properly evaluating, by properly analyzing the current work in the organization. They can eliminate the kind of accidents, the kind of health hazards that is related in workplace. Next, it helps them to create a proper cooperation between the employees and the employers, because they have a clear they have clarity about the relationship, they have clarity about who is going to be their supervisor, and there is clarity about the roles and responsibilities in the workplace. Next, it helps them in improving their career. So once the job analysis has done properly, and if they know that they have a kind of specification that is required to do the given job, then they can go for the same kind of work in the company. But if they have different kind of objective for their career, and if they if they come to know from the job analysis itself that they are lacking in some specification that is determined by the company, this will ultimately help them in the development of that deficiencies in their current knowledge, in their skills, and likewise. So that was about some of the benefits of job design. Now there are certain factors which will affect the job design process in the company. First is related to ability or ergonomics. So ultimately, ergonomics is a kind of concept which is related to workplace behavior of an employee, that about the ability that they have to do the given work. Second, task structure. If the structure of the task is not properly arranged, if the task is not properly maintained, and if the task is not properly regulated, then the number of problems could be faced by the employees who are selected to do the given work. Next is related to task assortment, where a job usually contain many tasks. In organization, you will have a number of jobs, but certain jobs are such which has the interest of employees, certain jobs would be such which don't have the interest of employees. But as an employer, you will have to make a balance between this. You will not have to give too much of work to the employee, as well as you will not have to give too less kind of varieties of job to the employees. Next is related to freedom. So when you select any of the employees in the organization, you will also have to give certain kind of authority to the employees, so that they can have a kind of freedom in the organization to take the decision. Next is related to practices. Here, over a period of time, the employee will ultimately develop his own practice, his own customized way to do the given work in the organization. Next is related to recognition. So every organization should always focus on this factor, where the employer always praises the employee who is doing the work in an effective manner or as per the set standard in the organization. Next is related to technological development. So it also helps the management and as well as employee to coordinate with the changes that is taking place related to technological factor in the organization, and then redesign according to the requirement in the company, and then select the people who have a kind of skills and requirement in the organization. Next is related to strength of union. So here, as we all know, that manager will have to always focus to maintain a healthy relationship with the trade union of the organization. So while designing any of the job, the employer will always have to influence about this factor, where they will focus that if any of the employee is part of any of the union, they present or they ultimately employer itself fulfill their basic requirements. So there is no requirement of employers or union leader to get involved in any of the proceedings of the company. Next is related to corporate culture. So every organization has its own unique culture. So if the manager of the company wants to develop a kind of culture which is positive in nature, they will always have to change as per the external environment, as per the various factor that will impact their current working behavior of the organization. So as in now, whenever there is a requirement for reshape, for changing any of the rules and regulations of the company, the top management should always take an initiative and change the current proceedings as per the requirement of external market. Next is related to working condition. Again, the organization's manager will always have to focus on maintaining and making a safe and healthy working environment in the organization. So next topic is about components of job design. So there are number of components which is related to job design. First is job enrichment. Job enrichment is a kind of factor where there is an addition of roles and responsibilities in employees' current working behavior. This will ultimately give them a motivation, because it is a kind of praise to them, it is a kind of recognition for the employee, where the employer will see their hard workings, and based on their proper fulfillment of the objective for the company, they will provide them a addition of roles, addition of responsibility, and addition of authority in the company. And basically it is always in vertical hierarchical level in the company, so it will ultimately give them the satisfaction also. So when we talk about a job enrichment, there are a number of points that is to be kept in mind from managers point of view. So first one is they should also encourage the employee to involve themselves in goal setting and accomplishment of activities. So first and most important thing is, if you are choosing any of the employee for addition of roles and responsibility in organization, you should also always communicate with the number of people, and then to that selected people with the help of participative manner, then only you can go for addition of roles and responsibilities. Next is related to utilize diverse skill of employee. You should always try to increase the scope of job and utilize the diverse skill. Always encourage their out of the box thinking. Always try them to encourage in brainstorming kind of session, and etc. Next is related to a kind of factor where the management focuses on developing a sense of achievement. So whenever the employees is participated in objective fulfillment, they should always focus that if they are doing some work in a pre-decided manner, if they are fulfilling the objective of the organization, they should praise them, which will give them a sense of achievement and a sense of recognition in the workplace. This will help them to positively change themselves for the workplace. Next is related to autonomy. So if you are increasing the roles and responsibility of employee in the workplace, you should also give them a kind of liberty that is required for making the decision in the company. Next is related to realize the contribution. So again, whatever contribution has been done by the selected employees, you should always recognize them, you should always praise them on in front of other people. That will encourage the current selected people as well as the other people who are seeing that the employer always praise the people who are doing work for the company. Next is related to motivation. So ultimately the manager will always have to motivate the employee for upgradation of their skills, because ultimately if you are adding the roles and responsibilities in their current behavior, this will encourage their capability, this will encourage their skill, their experiences as well. So you should try to motivate the employee to willingly accept the addition of roles and responsibilities in the workplace. Next is related to recognize and appreciate the hard works of the organization. And next is related to consult feedback. So as in management also, you should always take the feedback of the management from the employees, and you should always give the feedback to the employees also of their current working behavior in the organization. This will helps them as well as this will help the organization also to fill up the gap if there is any. And next is related to career in the organization. So once you are encouraging the employee to accept the roles and responsibility, you are also giving the kind of authority to the people in the organization. This will help in their development of the career, and ultimately they will also start a kind of loyalty towards the workplace. So that was about point number first, which is related to job enrichment. This is one of the component of job design. Next is related to self-managing team. This is also a kind of process where the employer focuses on development of individual on their own. There is no requirement of any supervisor who would be always looking to the number of selected people who would help them out, and ultimately always observe them and then suggest them the kind of changes that is required in the workplace. But this is a kind of team that will voluntarily accept that have the self realization, and then they will work for the fulfillment of the organization's objective. So first is related to work mapping, where there is a clear framework of rules and regulation. Next is related to the size of team. So whenever the company is deciding for self managing team, there should be not too many people or not 2 or 3 people. There should be 6 to 9 people in the of a team, where they have a kind of heterogeneous skill, so that they could complement each other work. Next is related to leadership. So the leader should also give a kind of necessary training if and when required to the number of people for increasing their knowledge and for proper communication with the management of the organization. Next is proper framing of rules and regulation, because ultimately it is very much essential for any of the employee to work in a predefined manner. Then comes the job rotation. Job rotation, it could be it is a kind of horizontal movement in the organization, where the employee is sent from one department or one functional unit to another functional unit for addition of knowledge in the workplace. Ultimately the management is focusing on giving an exposure to the employee so that their current skills could be developed as per the requirement of the company. So when the job rotation is done, in the organization. It helps them in the addition of their current knowledge. It is also a part of training in the organization. It helps them to increase their satisfaction level, because when they work with different kind of people, they will ultimately evaluate a lot of thing in the organization. They will evaluate a lot of capabilities that the person itself have, and ultimately there would be an exchange of knowledge between number of people, and this will also help to come out from that monotonous work, and ultimately it will eliminate their boredom from doing a regular work in the company. It will also help to find out their talent in the organization, which will help them in the career growth of an selected employee. So that was related to point number third. Next is related to job re-engineering. So job in re-engineering is a kind of concept where the management of the organization change certain factors of the current job and break the job in some pattern, and then change certain rules and regulations because of current environment or because of some external environment, and then again come up with the new planning procedure and then implement in the organization. Next, that is related to re-engineering, is they have to redesign the current objective in the organization. Next is they'll have to focus on this factor where the number of people which are selected to do the work in the organization could properly manage themselves. Then next is related to redesigning the workflow. So ultimately, if you are re-engineering any of the process in the organization, you will have to also change certain process, certain strategy or certain procedure in the company, and ultimately you will have to redesign the workflow in the organization. Then again there could be a requirement to again change the title, and then come up with a new position in the company, to change the responsibility, to change the accountability of the person also. Next is related to promote learning. So even if you are changing roles and responsibility in the organization, the main objective should be promotion of learning, addition of knowledge, and addition of skill in the employee. Next, if you are changing the roles and responsibility on the organization, you should always try to motivate the employee with the help of proper framing of new incentives, new reward systems. So that is it for today. So today we have studied about a number of factors that impact the job analysis in the organization. We have seen the meaning of job analysis in the organization. We have seen that a job description and specification are the two product of job analysis, based on which job design could be done, based on which we can re-engineer certain of the processes in the organization, and ultimately it helps the organization to properly frame the current working behavior of the employees in the organization. So that's it for the day. We'll meet up in the next lecture. Till that, bye bye and have a nice day.
स्वाध्यायः परमः